Welcome to episode 190 of the Muck podcast, a member of the Odd Pods Media Network. Listen in as we discuss the dark and sometimes weird true stories in American politics. I'm Tina Jaramillo.
And I'm Hillary Doherty. Oh my god, I've been watching that reality show, The Ultimatum. It's so bad. But anyway, this good thing touched my thing. Oh no, it's not The Ultimatum. It's The Love Island. Another terrible. This one's worse. This one's worse. Nobody wears clothes except bathing suits. So the whole time they're walking.
Are they all hot?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. Well.
But there's one girl who's like, "Hey, baby!" Like she's a little baby all the time. I'm like, is that hot? Is that cute? Like the whole time they're talking like a baby. Like what is that?
There's this like New York kind of Jersey. I don't know exactly where he's from. Chef he's young and he's like completely like fit. And he sometimes will do his thing. He'll just wear the apron. And
what?
Yeah, and then he's like, but he's like so obnoxious.
How do you not send me these TikToks? You send me the funniest TikToks. You don't send me this?
He's so obnoxious. Like he knows that he's hot. But there was, and he's, he speaks English, but there was one where he did a recipe and he did the whole thing in Italian. And I was like, I could get over this like conceited. You can tell he's like a bro dude, like. Yeah, but he's
sometimes we have to put things aside.
Who cares?
To make out a little bit.
And he makes good food.
Yeah, I mean, well, what more can you ask for?
But the next time he comes up in my feed, I'll send him to you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Baby voice.
I have some things.
All right, what do you got?
I got a couple DeSantis things.
Okay.
So one was, and I'm sure that you saw this too from Anna Eskamani, regarding the voucher program. Oh, I
just had that article open. I'm looking at it right now.
It's insane.
It's on the front page of the Sun Sentinel this morning on Saturday.
Yeah, it's insane.
Yeah.
It's theme park passes.
Yeah.
55-inch TVs, upright paddle boards, etc. That if you get money from the state voucher, you can use to buy these things. And
if you're a homeschool parent.
And then in the past, it was just like students who had disabilities that would have access to that. Now it's like anybody who has access to that money. And if as an educator, I was buying paddle boards and TVs with state money, people would flip the hell out. And the thing that Anna Eskamani said in her, she had done a social media post and she had commented that, these are things, I don't know who said it, but she had posted in her article that these are things like if a teacher needs, a new novel or, whatever supplies, like they're throwing GoFundMe's up and like, help my class wallet or whatever it is. And, our taxpayer dollars are paying for 55-inch TVs.
Yeah, it's bullshit. It's crazy.
It's crazy. And what constitutes homeschooling? Like they have to be, like they're in virtual school, right? They can be virtual school. So it's not even like, because with virtual school, if you're like a high schooler or a middle schooler, like your parents are really not doing much. You know what I mean? Like it's the public school.
That's true.
And then they're going to get an additional $8,000.
Yeah.
Like I get it if you're going to use it for tutoring or for maybe a supplemental activity, something like that. But
no, it makes no
paddle
sense.
Boards?
Plus, let's not forget that
theme
money.
park passes?
But yeah, what does it have to do with education going to Disney? By the way, that's what's funny too.
When our kids go to Disney, they gotta pay for that.
But isn't it funny that it's Disney who the state is at war with right now, and part of their voucher system is you can take it and go to Disney.
They go to Disney,
and let's not forget that's money that is leaving that wherever they're homeschooling their kid, that county, that money's leaving that county and going into the private school or homeschool program and theme park passes and new TVs for the house. So, listen.
I don't even think I have a 55-inch TV. Can I sign up?
For a party that is in the majority in Florida and the governor's office.
Who's so fiscally conservative.
That's right. I've never seen so much wasteful spending, especially, and if I were in the legislature as a Republican right now, I'd be putting a bill up because they're going back right now in September. They're going back up. We saw a couple of people. We saw Representative Marie Woodson this week, and we saw Representative Robin Bartleman, and I saw Christine Hunchowski, and they're all going back up in I think this week coming up. And this is what I would be doing. Let's make sure Floridians know how much they paid for security for the governor.
Yeah.
That should be coming out of his campaign.
Not out of our money.
But I don't think it can. I think what he's doing isn't illegal because he didn't resign to run. So that's what the Republicans cost us, $9 million. What did I say? It was up 54%.
Yeah.
So it was $4.5 million the year before. So for him to crisscross the country, we're paying for it. Like that money can't go into schools? No, we're paying for TVs
or in our roads.
Yeah.
Or in our, securing our shorelines for, hurricanes.
Right. Well, speaking of hurricanes, so hurricane came, Idalia, right, came through this week, and it hit a part of the Gulf on the west side of Florida that hasn't been hit, they said, in like ever, has never been hit. And it's a poor area. It's a very beachy kind of rural area. There's a lot of mobile homes. And it also, because hurricanes, where the eye passes is where there's going to be the most destruction, but also the outer bands.
The edge of that.
So we felt winds here on the other side of the state.
We did.
But around there, so like Fort Myers in the Cape Coral area, who were hit in late September of 22, people are still living in tents in their front fucking yards, there was flooding there. I mean, it was that far away, maybe like an hour south, and it still was affected by the storms. And people lost everything. I saw babies being pulled out of homes that were flooded. These storms are absolutely devastating. And I can't forget that 2 months ago, when asked about the homeowners insurance crisis, which goes up and down based on how much money insurance companies have to use when a storm passes through to not bail people out, to pay on the claims that people have been paying on.
But wasn't it like a we'll see? What did he say?
No, he said, he goes, let's get through the summer, knock on wood, we don't have any storms.
Yes. Knock on wood. I knew it was something like that.
I guess that doesn't work because here we go. Yeah. And I pray for my fellow Floridians. Listen, hurricanes are not fun. Okay, it's a storm. If you haven't been through one before, it could be up to 10 hours. To 10 hours of nonstop rain, wind, and it's scary, and it's really scary, and so you have to bunker down and and hang in there for it. And if you're lucky enough to get out of the path, all you do is pray to God that whoever's in that path can get out of it, because you know what it's like if you have damage to your home, you lose your home, there's flooding. It is a devastating thing in Florida, and I feel like we try to be as prepared as possible, but when it comes to the aftermath of it and the claims and insurance, we're so fucked about that right now.
And I think the thing that people don't realize about, like, when you're bunkered down for those hours, if something happens, if something flies through a window and hits and hurts somebody, nobody can come. Right. The ambulances are not allowed to drive out. Police can't come. Right. I'll tell you a tragic story of my neighbor who, it was, I think, a storm maybe 5 or 6 years ago, and her husband passed away. Oh my God. And nobody could come. And she told me that she sat for hours with him in the house and she was freaking out. Nobody can come. You know what I mean? So it's like, it is scary. Like, you know what I mean? Because, like, depending on the winds, like, you're up to your own devices, know, and if something bad happens, like, you may not have people be able to get you for a really long time. Like, it's serious. Yeah. It's serious.
There was a video online of a woman for this storm, Idalia, who she was filming outside, like, the wind, but she was inside her house, out the window, and a tree fell into her house. And now there's just an opening with rain pouring into her house. Like, there's literally nothing you could do. And if you go out there to try to move it, another tree could fall. And that's how a lot of people die during storms, is they go outside. Oh my God, I'll never forget this one storm. It was the first storm. We have hurricane windows in this house, which, by the way, I never had growing up. Hurricane windows are a fairly new thing. Yeah. Like, for the last maybe 15 years.
My parents still don't have hurricane windows.
But it was the first storm where I grew up with hurricanes, but you put shutters on, so you can't see outside. Yeah. Maybe if you open the door and you look, but you don't see what's happening. You hear it. Yeah. Sounds like a train's going by for 6 hours, but you don't see it. The first storm, we had these windows. I sat on the couch out there watching the trees doing that, just bending. And I was like, we gotta close the shades. Like, I can't watch this. It's scary. But there was a guy walking down the street, like, on his bike. He was flying. He was falling over. I don't know what the fuck this guy was doing, but my neighbor next door must have been looking outside the same time we were, and he ran out and grabbed him and brought him into his house because, like, it was really fucking dangerous. But like, and you know, and I have to say something else because it's really
that's really nice.
Yeah. But let me say something else.
Like, what if you're like trapped like a maniac for 6 hours? You know what I mean?
He's a hawk over here. He's the one who caught the guy's breaking into my house a few years ago and called 911. As soon as that brick hit the window, I called 911. Yeah, he's always aware. He's like super aware of what's happening. Thank God. I need that. I need someone like that.
Oh my God.
But what also reminded me is this. Like, all right, I know it's Twitter, it's social media. Like, I get it. When you see these idiots out, like, standing by the water, and it's a full-on hurricane, and the newscasters are out there, they're filming,
and they're like,
and there's somebody out there, and he's on, like, a boogie board, and he's like in any second, this idiot's gonna drown, like, it's just gonna flip over, and he's gonna get washed out to the ocean, right? And people put that clip up, they're like, Florida sucks, look at these fucking idiots. Please!
That's
please!
all of us.
There's like 20 million people here, okay? This is one fucking moron. You tell me you don't have a village idiot? Give me a fucking break.
I gotta
Give me a break,
you,
please. I can't take it. All Florida's filled with idiots. I'm like, no, we're not like that.
I mean, we got our fair share though.
Let's be honest. And we embrace it.
I think we got more than the average bear.
All right.
You know what
yes,
I mean?
we do have more than the average bear. But again, I contend that it's the heat. We can't help it. Our skin is adapting to the sun bearing down on our heads within a centimeter every day. Like, I get it. It might drive somebody else crazy. I get it. And we embrace the Florida man idea. I really get it.
And I gotta tell you, I was kind of a Florida man, kind of.
Yeah.
I didn't go full Florida man, but it was during hurricane, I think it was Wilma. And you know how, like, when and that was like a pretty big storm that came. It was huge.
Yeah.
And so what happens is they evacuate anyone on the east side that is east of the intercoastal, right? Like, they're supposed to be leaving. Anyone living in those condos, like, they drive around, like, evacuate.
Yeah.
And so you can't get over the bridge. Like, if you want to get over the bridge, unless you're like a resident, have to go in, like, they do not let you cross over the bridge. And so during that storm, my younger cousin was like, I just want to, like, see the ocean. Like, and it wasn't like high time of the storm. It was like, you know, the day before the storm hit.
Oh, Tina.
And so we walked over. They let us walk over. And just looking at the ocean and how far in it got, like, the beach is gone.
The street was gone.
The beach is gone. And the storm hadn't even hit. But you can see, like, the weight of this. Like, it was the first time, like, I, like, looked at the ocean. It was like, what the ocean, like, the devastating power of the ocean. Like, I was scared. And, like, the storm, I'm telling you, like, did not hit. It was like, the storm will be here in a day or whatever, but the ocean is swelling.
Yeah.
And it was one of the scariest things I ever looked at. And I was like, there's no sand.
Yeah.
Like, there's no sand. Like, it's like coming up, and it's frightening.
That storm actually, there's a huge section of A1A, which is Beach 1 Avenue.
Hey.
Manila. That washed away in Fort Lauderdale from Wilma. Like, it just came up and everything, though, just the sand had come all the way across the road.
Remember, they were bringing sand in. You remember that?
So fucked up. It's so fucked up.
That storm was so bad that I happened to teach in West Palm at the time, and West Palm got it a bit worse than we did in Broward, and it was almost 3 full weeks of no school.
Oh yeah. There was no. I didn't have power for 2 weeks.
Yeah, it was really.
But let me say something else that I didn't realize until this is that Jim Cantor, who works for the Weather Channel, you know, when they see him coming in Florida, like, everybody runs if he's coming to your area. That means the hurricane's coming. He is so fucking hot.
Is he hot?
Holy shit!
Oh, hi.
What the fuck is going on right now?
Well, maybe. I mean,
have you seen him?
No.
He's swole. You know what I mean? I love when people go, do you see how swole he is? He's swole. And he's bald and he wears glasses. Oh my God.
That is.
Yeah, I'm 45.
This is hilarious.
Forgive me. But how do you balance this? I also am obsessed with Ryan Gosling right now. How is Ryan Gosling and Jim Cantor still both on my same level of, like, this is hot?
I just picture, like, a swole Larry David.
Like Rambo Jesus.
I don't know what's happening. I'm dying.
Well, maybe I'm just, like, incredibly horny. Like, that might be part of it too. That I'm like,
hey.
It storm's hot. What's going on, Jim Cantor? Jan Cantor. I'm looking him up. I'm like, is he married? Like, what's happening with this guy? Like, he's so fucking hot.
Oh my God. Because I don't think I know who this man is. Maybe I've seen him and I just...
He might look familiar. I'll have to tell you who I think he looks exactly like, but off the air.
Okay. So I have another
Go ahead.
DeSantis thing. Well, two other DeSantis things. Of course, I want to mention the Jacksonville
Oh, God damn it.
shooting. And, we just passed permitless carry in the state. They had talked about potentially open carry, and this man rolls into town thinking like he's gonna. Well, one, he was pissed off.
Oh, he had to come off the campaign trail.
He had to come off the campaign trail and deal with a hurricane and a shooting. Boo-hoo, DeSantis.
But can I say something though? I'm sure it was also welcomed because he's doing so bad.
Yeah.
He's doing so bad.
But he got booed.
This was incredible.
He got booed.
This was incredible.
And they're like, let him talk. No, you don't get to talk. You, the person who never wants to talk and never wants to answer any question, you don't get to say to people, let him talk.
Yeah. Also, he commented on it coming out of a campaign event when it had happened, and that before he was able to come back to Florida, he commented, "This is disgraceful. This is we're not going to tolerate this." Meanwhile, he's built this bed of bigotry and hate in Florida. He's used the white supremacy of it all to build on his campaign.
Yes. Never decrying the white supremacists who are standing outside of Disney,
right? Holding his flags, right? The literal fucking Nazis. Standing outside Disney World holding DeSantis flags and Trump flags or whatever. Maybe it's more DeSantis now. But like, he never says this is wrong. I don't stand with these people. Never fucking does it. And then this white supremacist who had a fucking manifesto of how to kill the N-words.
Yeah.
And
had swastikas on his gun.
Etched a swastika into his gun. Tried to go onto a campus of a historical black college in Jacksonville, and the security guard's like, you can't come on here.
But I gotta tell you, what pisses me off about that.
Oh, yeah, the money?
The money. So now you want to roll in and say, I'm going to give $1 million to this school? How about pass common sense gun reform instead with that money? How about that?
Plus, it's money they've been asking for years. And you keep vetoing.
Yeah.
They've been asking for it for years.
So now you're going to try to look like the hero? Nobody believes you.
Yeah. And every black elected state representative has been pushing back on these policies. Every Democrat has been pushing back on these policies, telling you that when you further this rhetoric and make it legal, like when you talk about, we're not going to talk about black history, that slaves were learning a trade, and so no big deal.
Yeah,
and the MBD, right? No big deal. Right? When you further that logic and you have someone who was already Baker acted when he was 15 years old because he tried to harm himself. And then, what was it? He's 21. So 6 years later, legally buys a gun.
And AR-15.
Tells his family, tells his parents, go look at your computer. And they looked and they read they knew he was cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs and called the police immediately. And he was already out. He was already out in the wild. And then he goes to a Dollar General and kills 3 innocent people.
For what? For what?
One of the people was 19 years old. He was working there to help support his family. Of course, because we live in a very unaffordable fucking state. And they put up a vigil. They put a vigil together in the black community in Jacksonville with the incomparable Representative Angie Nixon. If you have not seen her videos, you better go watch her on Twitter. Go to her page and watch her.
Amazing.
She's incredible.
Amazing.
And she's said, we've been warning him for years that this was going to happen. Well, he shows up to this vigil.
Oh, her face next to him.
And Casey DeSantis, his wife, is with him.
She's in some little sundress.
And she's like this whole time. They're booing him, and she's like, that weird smile. You think he's got a weird smile.
They're both like weird robotic.
And the first thing he says,
it's like they're doped out. I don't know what's wrong with them.
And the first thing,
there's no humanity there.
No, they're dead inside. All they want to do is get out of there. That's the last place they want to be because they don't give a fuck. And they know they're not welcome.
Yeah.
It's the first time they've been put into a situation where they're very comfortable hiding behind the governor's mansion or a podium or wherever they want to stand in the state. But the second they're put into a community that they have actively been working against, they don't know what to do with themselves. So what is the first thing the white savior does when he shows up? Don't worry, Councilwoman, we're going to take care of, we're going to find funds to take care of, I think there was like funeral expenses and things like that. We're going to take care of it. And Casey DeSantis is like, we're going to give you money.
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
How about laws? How about actual laws that will protect people so this never happens again in our state?
You can't throw money. You can't throw money at shit. And the last thing about DeSantis that I want to mention, and then I have one other thing, is did you hear about him his staff manhandling the 15-year-old boy?
I did. I saw something yesterday.
Yeah, so there's this kid, he's 15, who I think a few times has like asked him pointed questions, expecting a response.
Well,
he's on the campaign trail. So if you're a candidate, I'm sorry, but you're going to be asked questions, and you can't just act like you don't want to answer them, because the American public has a right to vet candidates, and we vet them through the questions that are asked of you and how you respond to them. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, you can't just stand there like a suit on the stage and think that you can get this office. I don't know. But this kid was asking him about Trump and the peaceful transition of power and what he thought about it. And the security guards are dragging a child. And instead of taking the opportunity to go, hey, man, I love that you are out here asking questions. I love, as a 15-year-old, you are engaged in politics and want to know what's going on, and kind of, embrace that. Engage with the youth of your community. But you just toss them to the side. And then you're going to try to expect, the youth to support you.
Oh, no, he doesn't expect that.
Yeah, that's why they all want to change the voting age to 25.
Well, I mean, also, I keep listening to all these podcasts talking because I really did think that DeSantis did well in the debates, and I just wanted to see, and I'm getting more and more confirmation that, it's utterly disappointing to live in a state where this man thought that going after books and history, like Black history and women's rights, and, all of the things that he did that were awful, we have to now live under that, and it's going to take a really, really long time for those things to change because we have a Republican majority, and it's going to take time to, chip away and, get these seats flipped and, get things changed or get a Republican, Democrat governor. It's going to take a long time. So we are going to, because he had these ambitions and Floridians now have to suffer with these laws, he thought that was going to,
translate nationwide.
That was going to be accepted, and it's not, and it's, which I'm thankful for and I'm grateful, especially the 6-week abortion ban. It was way too far, and I've been reading all of these polls, Republicans and how they feel about Roe, and it's after it being overturned, the numbers have gone up of even Republicans and Republican-leaning independents want it protected, 54%, 64%, 78%. It's a real thing. And so when you have someone like DeSantis who wants to create a culture of life in Florida and the United States by banning abortion,
people aren't into it.
Yeah, it's a bad thing. And also, I really want to make it clear too that it is a real possibility that Trump will be our president. It's a real possibility. And you better believe there will be a nationwide abortion ban when that happens. Because we're not going to get the Congress. It's not going to happen. And you have to get 60 senators, and that means Democrats too on record to vote this way, to get rid of to make sure it doesn't become law. And I don't know if that's going to happen. Then we get the Supreme Court who's all fucked.
Yeah.
So,
well, the Pope came out against the Supreme Court.
No, that's good.
He came out against the Supreme Court and the Catholics on the Supreme Court.
Yeah, well, because they used their ideology instead of actually looking at the law and protecting people.
To piggyback off what you were saying, this issue with Trump becoming president and just a nationwide sort of zero tolerance ban, on top of that, Trump talks a lot about criminalizing the women involved in this.
Right.
So that's another issue. And the other thing I wanted to bring up was Texas. And they're furthering their anti-abortion bullshit where they're trying to pass laws to ban local roads. So if folks are trying to drive a person out of state for an abortion, they're passing laws that they cannot use any local roads to do so. Or they face a criminal charge.
Yeah, it's really bad.
This is what kind of America are we living in?
It's really bad.
All the women need to leave these states.
Yeah, I mean, again,
honestly, they're going to be refugees from this.
It would be easier. It would be an easier pill to swallow that you wanted to have a national-wide abortion ban, or even the 6-week abortion ban. It might be easier to swallow if I thought you actually cared about women and girls. But when you have maternity deserts, like we discussed last week, and you're not doing anything for the other side of that, it's like they live in their own world and they're like, I have healthcare. I have access. My wife has access to doctors. My wife had babies that were perfectly healthy and everything turned out fine. So this is how the world is. And it's not how the world is.
No.
And there are people who actually want to have babies and conceive, and there are complications in that. And babies pass away in the womb. But when we know there's complications and there's still a heartbeat, but this baby's not going to live, you can't force women to carry those babies until they're in sepsis. Right? Like, that's what you want. You're putting lives in danger. And like we said before, we don't have to wait for any outcome. We've already seen the results. Ohio just passed this. And when you look at Texas and Florida and the stories that are coming out, these are real people. You can play here's a campaign video for you, Biden. Play these women with their spouses or whoever sitting next to them, their children sitting next to them, and have them tell their story about how they were forced into these dangerous medical situations because of the abortion bans. And then play Trump saying, I'm so proud of what I've done. I'm the most pro-life president ever in history. And I'm so glad I stacked that court.
Yeah.
Play that. Because that's going to get this guy. He'll never win. And, I don't know. I can't go into January 6th again. I'm so obsessed with like how people can't let that go. But I talked about it last week. Okay. I have two other things. One of the things is that Tennessee's session closed last week. And we know that there was this mass shooting at a school in Tennessee. It was a private school, wealthy, a lot of GOP parents that had their kids there. And these parents are now gun rights advocates to get rid, gun legislation and limiting it. And so they've been at this,
Yeah, I've seen them.
These moms that we see at the dropping their kids off at school are now at the session every single day. And they won't leave, right? But now the session closes. And they're in tears. And when the legislators walk into that building every day, they're begging them, showing their kids pictures, begging for help. And these legislators close the session without one single gun reform legislation passed.
They don't care about their kids.
Yeah. So congratulations, Tennessee. You have just created an entire community of activists who are going to come for you. And these guys are dirty as fuck. I mean, you go look at the GOP legislators in Tennessee. Holy shit, the Speaker of the House, my God, it's fucking insane. He doesn't even live in his own district. He's out of his mind. Plus, there's tons of fucking dirty shit happening there.
I can't take it.
In the face of this, I mean, at least even in Florida, they passed some things, but then they reversed them last year. But still, I mean, at least at the time they pretended like they gave a fuck. It's so fucked up. My last thing is this, and I had to tell you, it's super close to home. It really is upsetting, and when there's a failure on epic levels in this sort of dangerous thing, it really boggles my mind. And I've been reading 2 or 3 articles that have come out this week since this happened, and it gets darker and darker the more that we learn about it. But I live in Pompano Beach. I am 2 blocks south. No, that's not true. About 4 blocks south of the Pompano Air Park. And the Pompano Air Park is a very small airport. It's for small planes, not jets, but just very small, like prop planes. But also housed there is the hangar for the Broward Sheriff's Office helicopters. Okay? And they're up all the time. They're up all the time. They look for suspects who are fleeing. They land on I-95 and pick up people who've been car accidents. It's a really important part of a service that the BSO has to offer. I'd also like to mention there's 3 schools on my street. There's a middle school, an elementary school, and a high school, all within that are closer to the airport than I am, right? And this week, a helicopter took off from the airport, the air park, to go to land on 95 because there's a car accident and there's a mother and a daughter, and the daughter needed to be airlifted to a hospital.
Oh, gosh.
Well, they didn't make it there. The tail broke off of the helicopter and it spiraled down and landed on top of an apartment building. And there was 3 people in the helicopter. Captain Terrison Jackson passed away from this. He was a 19-year veteran in the BSO firefighters, a beloved man from everything I've read about this person. Loved his job, loved service. There was 2 other people in the helicopter. They were able to get out. He was trapped in the helicopter and he died. God. And a woman on the ground died also in this apartment.
Oh my God.
Big, huge hole in the roof.
You're just living your life.
Oh my God. So listen, when you live near an airport, you kind of have these ideas like, I never could, until I saw the video, I was like, oh my God, where is that? Because it's right near, they're like, it's 2 blocks from the airport. And I'm like, in which direction? Because my house could have a helicopter on top of it right now. It's crazy. And again, I say, the air park is completely surrounded by residential. Like every single side of it is residential.
Oh, yeah.
So, you know, I've been waiting to see. The first article is, here's what happened this day, right? Yeah. And we're waiting to see.
Like, well, what caused it?
We still don't have the full investigation of what caused this, but what we do have is the 2017, so 6 years ago, there was a consultation that they did on the BSO helicopters, because BSO has to go to the Broward County Commission and ask for money in their budget to buy helicopters.
So yeah, or repair, I would assume, or maintain.
Well, apparently helicopters have a very short lifespan, right? And the maintenance on them has to be done continually. Like every 600 miles they're flown, they're supposed to do this maintenance where they almost completely take it apart and put it back together. There's certain parts you need to have all the time on the shelves, and they have a shelf life parts. You know, if a part's been sitting there for 5 years and it only is supposed to be good for 2 years, you got to get rid of it. Well, when 2017, during this consultation, it was a disaster. It was from 6 years ago, that whole shop over there was a disaster. The person who was running it didn't know where certain parts were, didn't know how old they were. What? There was a helicopter completely disassembled. There's 4 helicopters. One of them was completely disassembled. Apparently it still is. And every 12 years they get an inspection. Well, that was their 12-year inspection of these helicopters. Do you know what they told them 6 years ago? You can't fly these anymore. They're at their end of life. They've been at the end of life for years. Like, you can't fly these anymore. No good. No good.
Well, there's a lawsuit.
Major lawsuit.
You gotta be kidding me.
I'm not kidding you. That was 6 years ago. These things should have not have been flying for 6 years.
Oh my God! So
they only have so much of a time they can act.
So 6 years ago, then they go to the commission and say, "Hey, commissioner, our stuff, we cannot fly it. Give us the money."
This happened in 21. Sheriff Tony went in there. Hey, they're at end of life. They have been, right?
Well past end of life.
Oh, Michael Udine. What
did he say?
They all voted. Wait, he said, "You got to come back and show me more." That's what they happened then. Then in June 22, or June 3 months ago, he said to them again, I need these helicopters are no good. But now, after the crash,
they found some money?
Mayor Lamar Fisher, who, by the way, I know Lamar Fisher. He was my mayor in Pompano Beach since I've been here. I've known him from my civic association and come and do talks at our civic association. He's now our Broward County Commissioner. He represents this area. Now he's got a verbal and a handshake with Sheriff Tony that he's going to get the money for the new helicopters. Why does it take this?
It's a little too.
Why does it take this?
Too little, too late.
There's 2 people dead, and it could have been worse. By the way,
if the sheriff is coming to you. And I'm sure he has that report from 6 years ago that is presented, because when you present to the commission, you bring all your documents and they see it before they're up on the dais and la la la.
Yeah, guess what? And then the commission, and then the representative.
Why would you vote no on that?
The representative, like the contact, I don't know, the press person for the commission's like, well, sheriff never put it in his budget, so they're doing this. Sheriff's doing this. Okay. There's 2 people dead. There's a schools of children that could have been affected. Like, you know what I mean? Like, what if this had crashed into one of the schools? What the fuck are you doing? What are you doing? And also, like, BSO they have one of the highest budgets in the county. And not for nothing, Sheriff Tony, but like, take some money out of SWAT. Take some money out of these military upgrades that everybody's doing.
I think the way like the budget works sometimes though is that like if you get money for X, you are not allowed to.
That's
spend
what
it for
I know. That's what I'm saying. Take that out and put the fucking helicopters in.
Yeah, so they gotta reevaluate.
It's really upsetting, and now
it's outrageous.
It's out, and the more you read. The more articles that have come out, it's like
this helicopter
wild.
Broke apart in the air. I didn't know that. I thought.
Oh yeah, you can watch the video. The tail just breaks off, and then they said once the tail breaks, well, that's it. You can't control it. So the guy was just trying to like set it down.
Oh God.
And
and he's probably thinking, where can I land this where I'm not going to hurt anyone?
Right.
Oh my God,
dude, really bad. Like really, really bad. But Also, like, this isn't something, you know, it reminds me of the Fort Lauderdale sewer system and, like, how every year they're like, these pipes aren't good. This is going on for 30 years.
I'm waiting.
And then finally the pipes start exploding this last couple of years, and they're like, well, there's shit in my front door. I guess I better fix the pipes.
Yeah.
Like a helicopter crash. There's shit on your front door. Why does it take that much? You know, I'm sorry, but it's a complete derelict of duty on every level here. There's epic failures on every fucking level.
What is this? What reason would someone have to say, I'm sorry? No, having functioning helicopters that are for the safety and transportation of people isn't a necessary thing. But also, I don't understand. Like, I don't understand
But also the other side of it is this. If something goes wrong, it's crashing. Like, it's not like, oh, the pipe's gonna burst and like shit's gonna come up. Like, that's bad. But like, if
or
something
maybe you have
goes,
a pothole.
like, why don't you believe people when they tell you 6 years ago? And so there's a whole crash investigation going on from an outside company.
Good.
I can't wait to hear what they have to say about this, because somebody better fucking get it together. Get it together. You're risking people's lives. 2 people died that should not have been. They should not be dead.
Oh, goodness.
Because y'all don't want to fucking do it. It's fucked up. And then you start to think, what else is going on that they're not funding that needs to be funded?
Oh.
Like, what else?
Right.
All right, sorry.
No. I'm shocked because I thought it was just an accident. I didn't really look into it.
Yeah. Well, I looked into it because
bonkers.
I was out of my mind.
Well, of course.
Fucking crazy shit. Oh my God, dude.
All right, are you ready?
Oh, yes. Okay.
Today, I'm going to tell you the story of the murder of Judge John Roemer.
Ooh.
So John Roemer, this is short and sweet. You know me, girl.
Yeah.
John Roemer served as Juneau County Judge until his retirement in 2017. But his retirement was short-lived when he was attacked in his home. So our story takes place in Wisconsin, specifically in Juneau County. And Drake Bentley and Elliot Hughes offered some information about Judge Roemer in their Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel article. They wrote that Roemer was a graduate of Hamline University Law School in 1980. He worked in the public defender's office in Baraboo for 5 years, and eventually he became assistant district attorney in 1992. He was first elected to the Juneau County Circuit Court in 2004. He was reelected in 2010, and he was reelected again in 2016. But in 2017, he resigned because his wife was very ill, and so he resigned to deal with his wife's health, and she later died in 2018.
Oh, God.
So, the major incident. According to the Wisconsin Department of Justice, on Friday, June 3rd, 2022, at 6:30 a.m., someone called the sheriff's office in Juneau County to say that there was an armed person in the home who had fired 2 shots.
Oh my God.
The caller managed to escape the house to make the call. An independent caller article noted that the person who made the call was one of Roemer's sons. A 911 dispatcher stated, quote, "The son is saying that he woke up, saw a male subject with a firearm, a pistol, said the subject did not see him and he was able to exit the house through a window."
So this kid lost his mother.
Yeah.
And now his dad?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
So following that, the sheriff's deputies arrived to find this guy, Udi, who was in the home of Judge Roemer. And they tried to negotiate repeatedly with this guy to like release the judge, but it was like to no avail. Like he would not do it. And then at 10:17, the special response team entered and they find Judge Roemer was shot to death. NBC News noted that Roemer was also bound with zip ties to a chair. And they found Udi in the basement with a self-inflicted gunshot wound. But he was still alive at the time. So why would this guy, Udi, murder Judge Roemer?
Oh no, God,
So,
please.
according to a Long Crime article, there was a case that involved burglary and weapons like years ago. And NBC News reported that the weapons in the case, it was a short-barreled shotgun. And a Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel article also noted that a pry bar was found in the car. Shoe prints were found at the residence that was burgled that matched Udi's. And so the CNN article I read talked about how the burglary charge occurred around 2002. And the case went through all of these appeals, right?
Like 20 years ago.
Yeah. And eventually, the case in 2005 found itself in front of Judge Roemer. And he sentenced Udi to 6 years in prison. So Udi faced other legal trials and troubles like throughout the year. Like, for example, while he was like waiting to be sentenced, like he fled the police. He was in a bunch of civil suits for like various arrests over the years, and he would like try to sue the police for like these charges that were against him. So he was always kind of in like small trouble, though, you know, like, I mean, it's burglary and it was armed burglary, but he got in trouble because he had already had like prior arrests, and then he had a weapon on him. He's not supposed to have a weapon. And so that's why he ends up getting like the 6 years in prison. So, and plus because it was obvious that he had done it, right? So Bentley and Hughes, writing for the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel, noted that a childhood friend of Udi's, Kevin Baden, indicated that Udi had a problem with, quote, authority figures and was, quote, anti-government. But in another,
I can't take it.
I know.
What is this?
I know.
You know, again, it's my favorite thing with Trump is like he's so anti-government, but he wants to be the head of it.
It's
like
so
it doesn't make
stupid.
any fucking sense to me.
And like I don't think that people realize that, like, you know, laws are there.
Yeah.
Like, that we have freedom.
Yeah.
But our freedoms are restricted, right? We can't go 150 miles an hour down
Literally.
any road that we want.
Yeah.
We can't scream fire in a theater. Like, there, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, there's things that are restricted, and the government is there so that we, you know, have helicopters that are supposed to function properly, that our roads are paved when they should be, that the pipes are replaced when they need to be. Like, all of that is...
That's why we give them money.
That's why we pay taxes.
Well, my son's learning this right now in social studies. It was between, what's the difference between duties and responsibilities as a citizen? And responsibilities are the things that you should do, and duties are the things you have to do because we have laws.
Right.
And the reason we have laws is so that everybody's in check of like what you're, like, same thing.
Yeah.
You know?
It's crazy.
So we don't have a wild, out of control society. I mean, like, I get it. There's laws that go too far. 6-week abortion ban. Like, I get it.
Of course.
And so, but
and that restrict our freedoms too much, right? But, you know, we would hope that we could, you know, have a system that works. And there's going to be flaws. But overall, like, you can't have no government.
You know what would be great?
I mean?
Can we just create laws that would protect like the poorest and the most marginalized among us, and then everybody else would be fine? Just make laws that would actually protect and
people that need those protections.
Yes, because then you're covered, right? As a white straight cisgender person, like, just make laws for the people who need them the most. You know, protect their rights, their freedoms.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck. I don't fucking know anymore. I'm so lost.
So this guy's friend, Baden, also said in another article, in the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel article, and this was by Carson and Spicuzza, that Baden said, quote, "I've never seen in my life a violent bone in that man. He was afraid of everybody." You know, so we have this sort of government, anti-authority figure guy who also is afraid and wouldn't hurt people.
Right.
So there's a contradiction happening there. And no surprise, but Bentley and Hughes also note that his social media posts showed support for Donald Trump, used derogatory language towards Hillary Clinton, and had, of course, a ton of posts about weapons. Like, don't you think, I'm sorry, like, I get the idea of like having privacy online, you know, but if you're posting stuff like now, that's public. And isn't there someone, can we flag, like, okay, you post a picture of, oh, I went to the gun range.
Yeah.
Cool. Way to go, bro. But if you're posting like pictures of like your arsenal of weapons and your cache of weapons and like saying crazy stuff about weapons, like, can there be some system that flags that, and maybe we look into that person before we decide to give them a weapon?
Yeah. I was literally just fucking saying this yesterday.
Like,
I'm all for like freedom of speech. Like, I really am. I get it. Like, clearly, like, this is freedom of speech, everything that we're doing here and the things that I say about people. But there has to be, like, I've been reading a lot about Robert Kennedy Jr. and his anti-vaccine moves. And like, there's some crazy stories out there, which I think I might cover next week. One of them.
That guy is cuckoo.
He's cuckoo. And like, like, we always had this. Like, it was always okay to have it. Except when you add in like a Donald Trump liar who's not fact checked immediately. Like, there should be, I wish, you want to do Chat GPT? Do a Chat GPT that immediately fact checks politicians.
Right.
Like they say something and then immediately afterwards it's like, this is not a true statement, here's why.
The Snopes site where you can like...
It's not enough. Like we need immediacy because that's how people work now. Our brains go by that flipping through social media. So you combine social media and like that quick spread of misinformation with somebody like Donald Trump who doesn't give a fuck and completely lies and doesn't really... Like, he knows the truth. That's all what's coming out with these cases. That he really knows that he lost.
He absolutely knows.
He just is embarrassed by it. So, like, because of that, he's willing to burn this country down. He's had people go along with him who were, like, public servants for their entire lives. And he pulled them into his net, right? And the same thing with, like... So with like the same thing with like the anti-vaccine. If there's somebody out there saying it, we need to shut them up. Yeah. They should not be allowed to post or talk publicly because they're liars. And we need to make that like a thing. Put a fucking gag on them somehow.
Or flag and say this is misinformation.
Yeah. I mean, it shows up, but it's too late by the time he's... And then he points to... Robert Kennedy Jr. always points to, don't listen to me, go look at this study. And you go to the study and it's whack shit. Yeah. Like it's somebody who never... It's not real. But he's trying... But who's going to look, right? Like, so we got to just shut them the fuck up. Because, by the way, did you see who came out, like, who supports on it, who set up his super PAC and is giving him money? The same people who work for Marjorie Taylor Greene. Yeah. Like, this guy is supported by Bannon. Come on, man.
Yeah, he's not a Democrat.
Trump said he's a great guy.
That alone.
Let's stop. Democrats stop with the Kennedys. Who gives a fuck?
Yeah.
Oh, except if it's that hot, JFK Jr.
Well, I mean... All right. So continuing on here, just to give some statements on what people said about Judge Roemer, Supreme Court Chief Justice Annette Kingsland said Judge Roemer dedicated much of his career to public service and law. Before taking the bench in 2004, he had served as an assistant district attorney and as assistant state public defender. He was known by colleagues for his sharp legal mind and his willingness to share his time and knowledge with others. Governor Tony Evers had this to say, I mean, the idea that, as I said before, a judge from a rural county is targeted and murdered, it's just abhorrent to our judiciary and to leadership in our state and our country. It's a horrible situation. I grieve for him. I grieve for his family. And God, we can do better than this in Wisconsin.
Ooh, God.
So
it really is fucked up.
As far as the charges, obviously he has the self-inflicted gunshot wound. And he succumbs to those injuries 4 days after murdering Judge Roemer. And he was kept on life support, really solely just to harvest his organs. And then, so he was really gone at the scene. And so, of course, there's no trial or anything because he's dead. But he is, the person
this must have been sitting with him.
Responsible.
Holy shit.
So at his service, Judge Roemer was remembered fondly by those in attendance. A former Juneau County District Attorney, Scott Southworth, had this to say: he was kind, he was passionate, he was empathetic. It is imperative that public officials in our justice system, can do what he did.
Right.
So some points of interest. Judge Roemer was not the only target. So apparently there was a hit list. And some of the people on that hit list was, of course, Judge Roemer. It was the Wisconsin Governor Tony Evers.
Oh my God.
It was Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell, and it was Governor Gretchen Whitmer.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So they were, had to receive calls to say like, hey. And back in episode 154, we covered
when Mitch McConnell received the call, did he go like this?
Now
he did have a second one. I cannot believe it wasn't even in my notes. That just happened this week.
The GOP are meeting.
Yeah,
I saw something that there's something leaked that they're meeting to remove him. I think as Senate.
He needs to be. By the way, I didn't know he fell. I didn't know this was from a concussion. Did anybody else know that? I mean,
they said that during the first time that it was. I
had no idea.
This is not. I personally I'm not a doctor.
Yeah.
But I play one on the podcast. And I think that it's like those lapses are, what do they call them? Like those like little mini strokes. That's what I feel like it is.
How about this? How about stop putting him in front of a camera? What is wrong with you?
How about anyone?
Leave him alone, this fucking guy.
How about anyone over the age of 70? Gotta go.
Get the fuck out.
Bye.
Get out. Oh my God. Oh my God.
Back in episode 154, we covered the murder.
Hold on a second. Also, the woman who comes up she must be one of his aides, and she comes up next to him and she's like, did you hear the question? Are you fucking kidding? I mean, this is embarrassing.
That's a stall
or Feinstein or any of them that are this old.
Pelosi.
You could have
My God.
left when you had a beautiful career. Look at all the good things you did.
I mean,
and get
let's not say that
whatever,
about McConnell, but-
whatever. You know what I mean? Like
George
I'm
Costanza,
sure
you go out on a high.
you go. Yes,
Right?
George Costanza said that.
Doesn't he say like that's when you leave?
No, that's Jerry Seinfeld when he's doing a good bit and he's like, "Thank you, good night," and he leaves.
I thought it was George, where George in the episode like went around and like he would leave like right when.
Oh
he
yeah,
was
yeah. People are
like,
laughing.
Yeah, he's like bye, like that's it. I'm out on it. Like that's when you go.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, that's right. But why wouldn't you do that?
I don't know.
It's very odd to
and
me.
aren't you tired? I know I say it all the time, but I'm tired.
Yeah.
And I'm half your age.
Yes, that's right.
I'm tired.
All I want to do is nap. What the fuck are
Like,
you doing?
I mean,
and like they're just trotting
You're
him out.
running the country.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
But
what
like, also, this is what you're gonna be remembered for. Like, I'm sorry, but like, this is what I'm gonna know as Mitch McConnell. It's not gonna be a young guy.
It's
this
a
young guy
spazzing-
from
a
Kentucky.
spazzing
He's
turtle.
like, yeah, it's gonna be like he's just stunned. It's so bizarre.
Listen, I'm not trying, we're not trying to be cruel to people who have whatever issue that he's going through.
No.
But get off the stage.
Okay, but let me
He would
reiterate
need the cane.
Okay,
Remember the
yeah.
cane in the Bugs Bunny cartoons?
Yeah, and
Like,
they
pull him
you.
off the stage.
But also, fuck Mitch McConnell. I mean, who gives
Yeah,
a fuck?
I mean,
I don't care. But also, like, I care about.
He deserves everything.
And
he
I
gets.
care about what happens to our country.
Yes.
I don't know. I'm fucking scared out of my mind that Trump might win. I'm scared out of my mind because it's a real thing. People
My
should
dad
be
asked
aware of it.
My dad asked me the other day, he's like,
It's crazy. It's crazy time.
my dad goes, what happened, what happened if a Trump in jail in Georgia?
Daddy.
And I'm like,
Daddy.
well, he'll be in jail. He goes, yeah, but for the president. I said, he can still run. And
Yeah.
he's like, I don't understand. I'm like, no,
Yeah,
I don't
Nobody
either.
does, Papa.
I don't
Armio.
understand.
Nobody understands. I mean, it's wild. It's wild and crazy.
So back in another point of interest. Back in episode
yeah.
154, we covered the murder of Judge Salas's son. So I don't know if you remember this story, that she was targeted and her.
Oh my
her son
God,
answers
yes.
the door and
Oh.
her husband. And the guy shoots
And she-
her son.
yes, and
She
she's
loses her son loses his life.
Yes.
She has been asking for legislation to protect judges so that they can serve, so they can do their jobs without fear. And after the murder of Roemer, which is just 2 years after her son's murder,
Oh my God.
Salas spoke out again, asking for change. Why is this still in a delay?
Listen, I'll be shocked when I see new helicopters. Okay, I'm sure they'll be flying soon, and then someone's gonna go, "Oh no, we refurbished them." By the way, who's running that fucking maintenance shop over there?
Yeah.
Get that person's name out there. I mean, what the fuck? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
That's okay. I've just got two more things. So I read that Udi actually at one point had escaped from the minimum security prison he was in 2006.
God. What is he,
and he was
Houdini?
captured, and then he was officially released in 2020. And then 2 years later comes after this judge. Like he's just, like you said, he's stewing and stewing. He's putting this list together. Like there's something wrong.
Well, because here's what happens. He got out of jail. His life wasn't successful. And he's like, who can I blame for
he's
this? Because
blaming everyone.
it's not my fault
Right.
that I committed these crimes and actually got sentenced to jail. So who can I blame for it?
And there was another person on the hit list. This was a former correctional officer.
Oh my God.
Who owned a gun shop and who was running for sheriff. His name was Dan Marcone. And NBC News reported that at first, Marcone thought it may have to do with his campaign. But then after seeing Udi's photo, he realized that he was a correctional officer at the time when Udi was incarcerated.
Oh, no.
Now, Marcone says that he doesn't even really remember this guy because he's like, how many prisoners is he dealing with regularly, right? And he shared with NBC News, quote, I believe there was an incident one time, and like I said, in probably 2008, that I might have wrote him up as an inmate. Kind of like an inside ticket. I remember a ticket I think he was involved in, but without going back through the records, I wouldn't really know that. But I wrote 200 tickets back then. So it's like this guy, had something written up that's like a misdemeanor little thing, like you got in trouble for, who knows what.
Yeah.
And now you want to kill this man?
It's
all
like
these
that-
years later, and this guy doesn't even remember you?
Yeah, it's like that Ryan Howard gif from The Office when he's got his little notebook and he's doing this.
Yeah.
And he closes it like he's remembering everything that's happened.
Yes.
Like maybe he lost a meal that day, or he got extra work time, or something like that.
Who knows?
Like now this guy's got to suffer for
Yeah,
it.
it's wild.
God,
It's
my
wild.
list would be super long. Who would be on your list? I gotta tell you, there'd be tons of fucking people on my
That's
list.
like, of course, I'm going to go to one of my favorite podcasts, Talking Sopranos, where Steve Sharippa has the list.
Yeah, that's right.
And he says to Michael Imperioli, he's like, look, and he's like, who's on the list? And there's a couple people he mentions because he's always like, I hate that guy, and he knows I hate him. And Michael Imperioli, like, who's on the list? And he goes, no, at my funeral, I'm going to play the video. And that's when it's Steve Schirripa, Motherfucks the World. And that's when he's going to blast everyone at the funeral. He's like, I'm going to give you the list, you invite them to my funeral, and I'm going to tell them all off. It's brilliant.
It's really
brilliant.
But God, you can imagine watching that video like, oh my God, is he going to bring my name up?
I have
Holy
that.
shit.
I have a coffee mug that says Steve Schirripa, Motherfucks the World. It's like one of my favorite things ever.
Oh my God, it's so good.
So good. Of course, I don't want it to happen because I want him to live a long, long life because I love him.
Yeah.
But that's the story. That's the story of Judge John Roemer.
Speaking of like Hillary Motherfucks the World, like we were at an event this week and Tina was standing at the front door because she was doing check-in because that's what she does to hide from everybody. And so I was over there with her because it was too many people in a room. But for a good cause.
Oh, it was amazing.
It was Reproductive Freedom Collective of Broward. Go look them up. Donate money. We're trying to get abortion on the ballot. Please, please, please. Anyway. We're at this event, which was highly successful. Congratulations to everybody who put it together, especially Emma Cullum and Senator Lauren Book. It was amazing. But Tina's looking out the window and she's like, oh, I think so-and-so's coming. And I was like, oh, shit. And I said so much shit. Because these events are a little tricky for Hillary. They're a little tricky. Tina's an angel. But I'm like, I gotta go hide. I immediately ran downstairs and like hid behind a closet like this.
So hard.
And then Tina goes, oh, no, it wasn't her. And I was like, God damn it. And then I thought, this is who I am. Like, if I'm going to do this, I better be able to fucking do face-to-face, which I have seen her at another event, and she didn't look at me. I kept trying to get her to look at me so I could be like, what? And she didn't. But then I thought she was going to walk into this event. I was running away. I ran away like a coward.
Oh, my God.
But
what a good event. I have to say
that's my life.
That event was
so good.
It was so good, and it's so exciting to see how much money is being raised and how many petitions are getting filled out, how many petitions are getting cured. What else? Oh, and then the other event I went to this week was the kickoff campaign for the amazing Sarah Leonardi.
Yes!
And I'm so excited. It was a wonderful event, a very good turnout, and she just is so supportive of, all the stakeholders in her district, and she touched on all of that when she gave her speech, and, I don't know what we would do as a school board without someone like her fighting for our kids and fighting for our schools. So I'm really excited for her campaign.
Yes, and also she has to sit every so many times, twice a month or something, and listen to absolute garbage from sometimes public comments, but also people sitting on the dais, and she does it with such a class that I don't know. I'll never be in that sort of I have that much class in my life. And she's almost gonna have this baby, and she has a little beautiful baby at home, and so her life is full. And yet she still wants to run for re-election because she believes so much in the Broward County schools. And yeah, we're absolutely blessed and lucky to have her. You know what? I did want to say one other thing because I saw it this morning on the news, and we cannot, as a Florida-based podcast, not talk about the passing of Jimmy Buffett.
Oh.
I said something to Tina before the podcast started, and she's like, I've never really been a fan. I'm like, I know, but...
What was it? Cheeseburger in Paradise.
Also, I know a lot of his songs, because my dear sister-in-law, Emily's mother, Gina, is obsessed with Jimmy Buffett, and used to go backstage and give him gifts like he knew who she was. Like, she was like one of these super groupie fans.
Yeah.
And so Emily, my sister-in-law, would go back there sometimes, too, and... we went to see my sister-in-law and my brother are obsessed with they love Jack Johnson. And so we went to go see Jack Johnson here in West Palm, and he did Pirate Looks at 40, which is a Jimmy Buffett song, and who comes out? Jimmy Buffett!
That's always exciting when that happens at a show.
It was very, very exciting. So
Jimmy Buffett.
Yeah, local legend.
I'm going to tell you my memory of Jimmy Buffett, and it's when I used to work at Jacques Penney. You might know it as JCPenney. Back in the day.
I was like, wow, that place sounds fancy.
And they used to have these Jimmy Buffett shirts, and it was like all the songs. And there would be a display, and the hours of my life of folding, because people just they come look through it, and then it's a disaster, and you have to you have to fold it a particular way. And so that's when I think of Jimmy Buffett, I just think of I gotta fold all these,
Yeah.
hamburger shirts.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I mean, he's on the level, like, you've got a wonderful Grateful Dead t-shirt on today. He's on that level of, like, a Fish, Grateful Dead sort of, like, vibe where the...
I mean, I don't hate him. Like, if a song's on, like, it'll be like, okay, like, it's not like...
But also, like, Key West and the Keys is
yes,
such
it's a Key West vibe.
It's total Key West. Like, that, he kind of helped with Hemingway almost, like, put that on the map of... It's such a beautiful... Key West is one of my favorite places in the world.
And the Keys
I love the Key West. Yeah.
I have a friend who lives in the Keys, and he is a singer, a bar stool sailor.
Does he do that?
And he'll sing, and like, that's his life, and he does.
Let's go down and see him.
Oh, I would love to see him. His name is Micah Gardner, and he plays in the Keys all the time.
Oh, that would be fun.
Every night, he's always like posting about like, come see me here, come see me there, and he'll do Jimmy Buffett songs.
What a fucking life.
Yeah, a beautiful life. But he's such a great guy. Yeah. That would be so much fun. I would love to do that because I haven't seen him in a while. I haven't gone down in a while.
Key West, that whole Keys is such a fucking laid back, cool vibe.
Yeah.
Which I embrace when I'm there, but as soon as we're like out on that bridge, I'm like, ugh. Like I start getting into the traffic, I'm like, God damn it, Florida. But when you're there, you're like, yeah, man, everything's good, everything's hippie, everything's fucking cool. You know what I mean?
I totally know.
Yeah, it's a cool vibe down there.
Okay, we'll have to figure it out because
please.
I'm sure
we always say we're gonna go somewhere. Although
we are
going to New York City!
New York, baby!
Tina's never been there. We are going. We are booked.
Yeah.
Early October. We are going because, we can say why.
Yeah.
Our friend Jason has a brother who's an actor. His name is Josh Gad, and he's going to be in a new Broadway show called Gutenberg.
Yeah.
The musical. And we are going to see it the week that it opens, right? Saturday night.
I don't know if it's opening weekend, but it is.
It's like premiere weekend.
Yeah. I'm so
and we're going with a group of people. It's going to be so much fun. Tina's never been there. It's her birthday weekend. I'm going to drag her. I'm dragging her all over the city.
I'm already like, what do I pack?
Yes.
What do I bring?
It'll be
What's
so
gonna
beautiful.
Be cute? What is going to be like?
It's going to be a beautiful fall season in New York when we go.
Like as it's approaching, I'm like getting more and more excited.
Yeah. So it's in a month.
I have to go shopping.
Yeah, we're going in a month, and we will be posting videos. The Muck takes New York, bitch. That might be the title without the bitch part because we gotta.
The Muck takes New York.
Love it. Me too.
Oh my god, can we do this every year?
Oh my god, yes, please.
Well, that's it.
That's it.
Yeah.
Oh. By the way, 10 more episodes and we're at 200.
200.
Which I don't even think we should do stories. I think we should just talk.
Okay.
I mean,
that sounds so much
it's also
more
an
fun.
excuse for us not to do work that week.
I mean,
hi.
Yeah, I like that.
Okay.
I'm down. I'm here for it.
Yeah, we'll figure out. Show meeting. All right. See you next week.
Bye.
Bye.